So this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, but I love making videos for you all. It's the best way that I have found to give back to the fandom, a fandom that I have received so much from over the years that I've been a part of it. And I chose to make videos specifically because it has a relatively low barrier to entry. I mean, the technology barrier is next to nothing these days. Any phone in the last 5 years can produce some pretty good looking video, and with some basic free apps and a solid internet connection, you can start creating content right away. And a lot of you all know that because some of the most common questions I get when I meet people like cons is, can I still be a content creator in this fandom? Though when I give them the obvious answer of, yes, of course you can, the common follow-up question I get is, well, I know I technically can, but is it too late to be a creator in this fandom? And that's the question I want to expand on today because I can at least see where that idea is coming from. In fact, it was something that I struggled with early on when I was making content, but still, over time, I realized that not only is it not too late to start putting yourself out there, but if the way this fandom is going continues to be the case, there might not be a better time than now to start sharing your work with the fandom. Let me explain. Let's first break down the question we're looking at here. Is it too late to create content in this fandom? And when I say content, I'm not just talking about videos here on YouTube. I'm talking about really anything that you can make that you want to share. All of that is included when we're asking, is it too late for it to be worth your time to share it in the first place? Now, the key phrase we're scrutinizing here is this idea of it being too late, where you somehow have missed the time window of when to create in this fandom. And from what I've gathered, the hesitation to share your work is more due to thinking that there's no audience for it, or no more people left in this fandom to give your work attention. Now, there are a couple of things that train of thought is missing when coming to that conclusion, because again, it's not too late to start sharing your creations in the fandom. If it were too late in this scenario, it would be the case that there are already enough creators in this fandom, because everyone in the fandom would have already matched with the creator that they like to consume from. So coming in and trying to find your audience would be futile because all of the audience slots are taken up. But in reality, that couldn't be further from the truth for a couple of reasons. Number one, content creation, sharing your work, whatever you want to call it, is not a zero-sum game. If you don't know what that is, a zero-sum game can be summarized as a situation where one group's gain is another group's loss. This is how most traditional games or competitions work. If I play a game of, I don't know, Batman, I don't know why that was the example my head came up with, but sure, if I play a game of Batman, I can either win or lose. The winnings are not shared between my opponent and me. And I think that's how a lot of people think of content creation. If someone is already watching one creator, then there's no more room for them to watch me. But again, that's just not the case. People enjoy the creations of multiple people naturally. In fact, it would be hard to find someone that only consumes the creations of just one person. So it's not a matter if there's room in the fandom for you to fit your content into. People who like your stuff are just going to add you to the list of creators that they already like consuming from. And that's just one aspect that's working in your favor. The second one is a lot simpler to understand. The furry fandom is growing, and growing fast. I don't think anyone would deny the fact that this fandom is still seeing an influx of new members, and there doesn't seem to be any signs of that growth stopping anytime soon. And that's good news for you. That means the potential audience of people to enjoy your work is increasing as well. And there's no game theory behind that. That's just simple math. More people in this fandom mean more chances for members to find and enjoy your work. So when I and other content creators say it's not too late to make content, we're not just being nice to you. I mean, we are, of course, but it's not a baseless assertion. There are more people joining this community than ever before, and each of them has room for more than one creator to enjoy the work from. So the odds of you finding your audience in this fandom is actually quite high. In fact, it's so high, it actually presents its own set of challenges, and also presents a question that has a much more complicated answer than just yes or no. And that question is, how do I stand out as a creator in this fandom? Now, to me, that is a much more interesting question to ask yourself as a new creator because of the very reasons that we just described of why it's not too late to start sharing your creations. The flip side of more and more people joining this fandom is that there are going to be more and more people also creating and sharing in this fandom as well. Honestly, we are really spoiled for choice when it comes to picking and choosing what we want to consume in this community. But we all have to deal with the very limited resource of time, and we can only invest time into the creators that we really like. So the real challenge of becoming a creator in this community isn't the fact that it's too late to start, it's finding out how to stand out amongst the sea of other creators out there. And well, after doing this for a little while now, there are a bunch of small little tips that I could give about standing out in this fandom, but they can all be summarized into 3 basic ideas that, if executed correctly, will eventually match you to your audience. Now, the first is both the easiest and the hardest thing to figure out, at least in my opinion, bringing your uniqueness to your work. Now, I don't want you to confuse bringing your uniqueness with being totally unique. There's nothing wrong with making the same category of content as someone else. Heck, even making informational videos about the fandom is nothing new. You don't have to reinvent the wheel to stand out these days. What you do have to do is bring your unique style to whatever category of work you're doing. This is what traditional artists do all of the time. They may all take full body commissions, but it's their style that separates them from one another. That idea can be applied to any type of creative work. If you write, having a certain storytelling structure or world building could be your unique angle. If you make music, it could be the lyrics or the mixes of genres that you put together. The point is, the thing itself that you're making doesn't have to be new, but it's how it's presented is what's more important. Now, that's easy to do because we are all individuals already with unique perspectives, so bringing a unique look to something already happens by default. But bringing that out and applying that to your work, that's the tricky part. I nor anyone else can do that for you, and the trial and error of making something different from everyone else while still being authentically yourself is the real work that's needed to stand out as a creator. And it is work, because along with bringing your unique flavor to something, that work needs to be done consistently. If I'm honest, this is the biggest differentiating factor from creators that grow or not. You have to put your stuff out there consistently. And that means putting it out there even if it isn't perfect. It's much better to put something out there that might not be a masterpiece and to do that consistently than to wait till you have things just as you want them. Not only is it easier to work on things a little bit at a time, but early audiences appreciate seeing your growth over time because it reinforces to them that you're actually working on your craft. And finally, none of this can be done without doing it with love. You have to love the thing that you're making, otherwise all of this won't really work. It'll just be chores. But if you're sharing something that you're truly passionate about, not only will it not feel like work, but you will make it a priority in your life naturally, which helps with being consistent and honing in on what makes you unique. This is why I actually tend to discourage people from looking at what's trendy or trying to design their work around what they think the audience will like. Doing that might get you attention quickly, but if you don't enjoy it, you're going to burn out quite quickly. And truth be told, audience can really see when your heart's not in something that you create. So working on things that you actually care about will be a lot better for you in the long run. So being unique, being consistent, and loving what you do, those three things are really all that's needed to find an audience for your work in this fandom. And I really do mean finding an audience for your work. I've tried to purposely avoid using the term content too much in this video. I think a lot of people ascribe that word to work that is separate from art, but if you think about it, it's all art that's being created, just expressed in different ways. I'm not an artist in the traditional sense of the word, but the process that goes into making these videos is very similar to how art is created. All of this is to say that if there's anything creative that you do, share it. Share it with the fandom. We would all love to see it. It could be music, comedy sketches, skits, singing, dancing, poetry, literally whatever. And the best part is, it's not too late to start sharing your talents with the fandom. If anything, doing so is what keeps this fandom alive and thriving. Alright, that's it for this one. If you're interested in a more in-depth course of some sort about being a growing creator in this fandom, let me know. I've been thinking about creating one for a while now. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. I'll catch you in the next one, but until then, stay wild out there. Peace.